Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we're here to give my tips and predictions for round 23 of the 2022 NRL season. Now, we are fastly approaching the finals, and there's not a lot that's going to change in the top 8, in my opinion, but there's plenty that could change in the top 4 and also the bottom 4. So there's plenty to play for, plenty of teams looking for some upsets, and also plenty of teams looking to avoid the wooden spoon. So it should be a good round of footy. I'm going to start off with the very first game of the round, which sees a great clash. It's the South Sydney Rabbitohs up against the Penrith Panthers. Obviously, Penrith super understrength still, very, very understrength, and last couple of weeks really showed that. The Rabbitohs hitting form. They're playing very, very well. Obviously, just one little hiccup over the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, they've been absolutely carving up sides. Last week included, I think Latrell came out and said, this is, if I was a, top 4 side or whatever, I'm kind of just paraphrasing here, but, I'd be a bit scared of the Rabbitohs, and I think that's definitely the case. Start of the season, I had a line through the Rabbitohs. I thought Latrell's good, but he's not going to transform them this much, and he transformed them this much. They are absolutely flying at the moment, and I think they're going to pick up a victory over the Panthers. I think, although it is the Penrith Panthers, they have a lot of good players, they have a lot of depth. It's just too much at the moment, and I feel like at this point, they've kind of got the minor premiership wrapped up. There's not really a hell of a lot to play for, apart from just get to the finals and win the premiership. That's what I feel like their attitude will be. Is it the best attitude? I don't know. Is it the attitude that they've got? I don't know, but at this point, I feel like they would be resting players and shit anyway, so the fact that there's a lot of players injured, I don't think it's really going to concern them too much. And I think the Rabbitohs have a lot to play for. Absolutely firing at the moment. Like I said, everybody's hitting some form. Basically, they just want to keep the momentum, keep that upward trajectory, and, go into the finals absolutely flying. That's exactly what they look like they're going to be doing. A few teams are going to be doing that as well. So, look, I'm liking where the Rabbitohs are going, and I'm liking them for this week. I'm going to go Rabbitohs 13+. I think the Rabbitohs, if they get a little bit of a roll on, I think they'll put the sword in. I think Panthers, good side, but just the Rabbitohs are going too good at the moment, and Panthers are obviously super weak in terms of where they normally are. So, Rabbitohs 13+. On to the next game. It is the North Queensland Cowboys up against the New Zealand Warriors. Obviously, a very emotional week for the Cowboys, I should say. Even the Warriors as well, going back home. But also the whole Paul Green situation, not the best circumstances to play under for a lot of these players. And I thought last week would go one of two ways. I thought they'd either come out and absolutely smack the Roosters, or they just sort of weren't there. And I feel like they kind of just weren't there, kind of just missing a little bit. But I think another week on, and I think up against a much easier side, let's be honest, in the Warriors, away from home, I feel like the Cowboys should absolutely pump the Warriors. Playing at home, first game since the whole Paul Green stuff, at the stadium that he helped build, I think they're going to win this one really, really well. Like 13+, 20+, 30+. I think it's going to be a very, very good performance from the Cowboys. I think they're going to come out absolutely fired up, raring to go, and the poor Warriors are going to be on the receiving end of it. I feel like it's not necessarily a Warriors thing. I feel like most teams would probably get pumped in these circumstances. So, sorry, Warriors. I know he's had a great win last week in front of the home crowd. Sean Johnson looked really, really good. Just the Warriors back to the Warriors of old, playing some entertaining footy, but Cowboys, man, they're in second. It's just not going to end well. It really isn't for the Warriors. So 13+ Cowboys. Going on to the next game. Second game on Friday, which sees the Brisbane Broncos up against the Melbourne Storm. Some really, really good games so far, I've got to say. But we've got the Broncos who have sort of been, I don't know, at times, top 4 side. Looked really, really good. Then, the injuries happened. Adam Reynolds was injured. And they just haven't really been able to find that form again. And the Storm, speaking of injuries, Storm have had a hell of a lot of injuries, which makes this quite an interesting game because you've got the Broncos at home, who always play good at home. Let's be real. Broncos at home compared to the Broncos away, just two different beasts. Broncos at home are so, so good. The crowd gets behind them, especially on a Friday night. At the same time, though, the Storm love playing at Suncorp. So this is a very hard one to pick because Storm's still under strength. I'm just checking where Cameron Munster is picked. You got Nick Meaney at fullback, Munster and Hughes. Would have loved to have seen Munster stay at fullback, but they've gone back to their normal halves combination. But I don't know. I feel like Broncos definitely want to hit back, but the Storm are getting a little bit stronger. The form's starting to come back. I feel like we're starting to see a little bit more of the old Melbourne Storm compared to what we saw the last couple of weeks. So I'm tending to sort of go towards the Storm. I don't really have any confidence in saying that because I feel like the Broncos definitely can dish it out, but I just feel like even with the home crowd, I feel like the Storm, I feel like they got a pretty good record at Suncorp. I think the Storm are going to win this one. I think it will be quite tight, but I think the Storm are going to win this one 1-12. Jerome Hughes back from the side. I think he adds a lot. So we're going to go Melbourne Storm 1-12. On to the next game. It's Parramatta Eels up against my Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. I don't really want to talk about this one too much. I've looked at the Bulldogs side. I'm not a big fan of the side, just in terms of the forward pack and the bench. Got Pengai and Luke Thompson could possibly make his return, so good news in that regards, but they are on an extended bench, so not sure what's to go there. The Eels, obviously, once again, another team who's very hot and cold at their peak. One of the best teams, if not the best team in the NRL. At their worst, they lose to a team like the Bulldogs, which they have this season. So I think they'll be out for revenge. Obviously, the last time they played, the Bulldogs absolutely smacked them. So I can't see it happening twice. As much as I want to sit here and say, yeah, Bulldogs got the wood over the Eels, I don't think that's the case. And I think the Eels are going to win this one 13+. It pains me to say that. But just last week, I know there was a short turnaround, a lot of travel involved for the Bulldogs, but really didn't like what I saw. And it just shows you that the difference between weeks of, when the kicking game's on for Matt Burton and just for the Bulldogs in general, things go really well. When things aren't like a 10 out of 10 kicking game, they can go very, very bad very, very quickly. And that's exactly what happened last week. Just some poor kicks and just a poor game overall, intercepts and just things like that that just hadn't been the Bulldogs in the last 5-6 weeks. They were there last week. It was kind of the Bulldogs of old. In saying that, though, I think the short turnaround did really, it did hurt them, obviously. But against the Eels, if it was against like a lesser side, I would probably tip the Bulldogs. But just the Eels, I can't not tip the Eels here. As much as the Eels are so hard to tip and so inconsistent, I've got to tip them here, especially going into the finals. I think they're going to, pull the finger out, I guess, might be the best way to put it. So, yeah, hopefully the Eels, they weren't great last week, but hopefully they can sort of, well, actually, I don't hope this week, maybe next week, but I think they're going to get going. I think they'll win this one 13+, if I'm being honest, but I'd love to say that the Bulldogs can compete, and hopefully they can compete, but Eels 13+. On to the next game, the Manly Warringah Seagulls up against the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. This one should be interesting because the Sharks have been very, very good in third spot, looking to go into second spot, I think, depending on for and against, all that sort of stuff. But they're going very, very well. See, Nico Hines is in contention for a Dally M medal. That sounds crazy. Nico Hines, Dally M medal. Shows how weird the Dally M system is. Because I wouldn't really look at Nico Hines and be like, yeah, the best player in the NRL. But he apparently could be the best player in the NRL, according to the Dally M's. But Manly, I don't know what's going on with Manly. Actually, I do know what's going on with Manly. You look at their lineup, it's very weak. It is very, very weak. The back line's weak. Forwards are weak. The only thing going for them really is the halves. Realistically, they've got a great halves pairing, but the rest of the side, it's look at a guy like Josh Schuster. Last year, was killing it. Was one of my favourite and probably one of the better informed second rowers of the comp, and now he's on the bench, and people talking about him being overweight and all that sort of stuff. Haas not in it. You got him coming off the bench, and you got Andrew David. You got a lot of guys who, I don't know if they would get a lot of time at other clubs, and they're in the starting side or they're in the side week in, week out. Jay Trbojevic isn't there this week. I just can't see a world in which the Sharks don't win this one, and they don't win it well. I think Manly will come out, and I think there'll be a lot of passion because they're playing at home, and I think they'll compete for a while, but surely the Sharks run away with this one. I think Sharks win this one 13+. Pretty clear cut for me, this one. If there's one that I'm pretty confident about, it's this one. Now moving on to the last game of Super Saturday, it is the Sydney Roosters in 8th spot. It feels weird to be saying that considering how they're playing, but it's 8th up against 16th. And I think this game is going to definitely reflect the difference in ladder positions. I think the Roosters are absolutely going to just pile on the Tigers. Poor Tigers. Tigers haven't been absolutely disgusting the last month or so, but the Roosters have been pretty bloody good, and they're coming into the finals. I've seen a few interviews as of late. I've seen Victor Radley do an interview. I watched Luke Keary have an interview today as well, and they just seem to be talking with a lot of confidence going into the finals, and I don't blame them. They've got the side, they've got the caliber around there, they've got the experience, and I feel like a game against the Tigers, this will really show whether they mean business. If they come out and absolutely just annihilate the Tigers, I think we look at the Roosters quite differently going into the finals. Just a matter of whether they come out and just try and get the win, or do they come out and try and make a statement. I know it's the last spot, but I think the Roosters are going to come out and make a statement. I think they're going to win well. 13, 20, 30+. This is another one it's a sure thing. Roosters are going to win this one. Now moving on to Sunday afternoon football. Its first game sees the St. George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Gold Coast Titans. Strange one, because I probably would have said, last week, Dragons going to win this one pretty comfortably. Titans are just terrible. Yada, yada, yada. Titans come out and beat Manly. I didn't see it coming, and maybe I should have seen it coming. I don't know. Titans, their attack's pretty good. David Fifita looked really good last week. They have what it takes to beat the Dragons. Just Can they do it 2 weeks in a row? They haven't done it much this year, as to why they're in 15th spot competing for the wooden spoon, despite having some pretty decent players into their side. Tino comes back in for the Dragons. Moses Mboy goes into the centres. Dragons are another one that I feel like they're fairly solid. They're not, I don't know. Usually they kind of just dish up like a 6 or a 7 every week, and some weeks it gets the job done, some weeks it doesn't. Benny Hunt, I feel like, has fallen off a little bit, although he did look pretty good last week, lots of 40-20s and such. But just in terms of who picks up a victory here, I have no confidence in either one of them. Amon was pretty good last week for them as well, I should mention. But yeah, the Dragons, like, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, Dragons definitely going to win, Titans definitely going to win. Just a bit of a toss-up. So I guess just because it's a home game, I'm going to go with the home side. I'm going to go with the Dragons. Once again, no confidence at all, but that's exactly who we're going to go with, the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I'm going to go 1-12 just because, like I said, if I can't pick a winner, I'm assuming it's going to be close. So 1-12 Dragons. Yeah, Benny Hunt getting them home. That's my logic there. Now into the last game of the round, the Newcastle Knights taking on the Canberra Raiders. Another one where I'm like, Raiders haven't really been that good, but the Knights are just so bad. The Knights are just so bad on and off the field. Especially off the field. And on the field. And off the field. They're just really bad. Whole Ponga situation, Kurt Mann, a lot of off-field. Like, they've even, dropped Bradman Best, Tuala as well. It seems to not be a great place to be at Newcastle. And they're not even coming last, which is, like, the interesting thing. So, like, you've got teams who are doing worse than them, and yet the Knights seem to be in just so much shambles here. You got the club captain doing coke in the toilets, or allegedly doing whatever he was doing and getting kicked out and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, the Raiders just not really doing themselves any favours as well. Ricky Stewart looking at you. But at the same time, this is the Knights. I can't tip the Knights. Even at home, I've got to tip the Raiders here. This will be the type of game that the Knights will come out and fire up for, but at the same time, even if they do fire up, I don't know if they're capable of beating the Raiders. Therefore, I'm going to be going the Raiders 1-12 in this one. I think it still will be fairly close-ish, but I think Raiders going to win this one. Anyways, those are my tips and predictions for round 23 of the 2022 NRL season. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you dislike them? Do you rate them? Always say that, and I just think, I can't believe that rhymes, but it does. So we're just going to go with it. We're going to roll with it. Now, let me know in the comment section below. What are your tips and predictions? I'd love to get some, tips myself. Maybe I can steal them next week. Maybe. We'll find out. But guys, hopefully you did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure that you use the notification bell. Don't rely on those sub boxes. They're super dodgy. Use the notification bell and never miss any of my videos. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Miss Luke and YT for the most part. My Facebook's Miss Luke, but everything else, including Snapchat, including TikTok, is Miss Luke and YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad. Also, become a member of the channel. Shout out to everybody who's stayed a member of the channel as well and who's been members for quite some months, because I really appreciate it. I know I haven't been super consistent, the last couple of months, but it does mean a lot that you guys are stuck with me. And if you'd like to stick with me and become a member, link is in the description below. Click on it, join some of the streams. People have been gifting a whole bunch as well, so come into the streams, become a member, and enjoy the videos. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. See yous!